On today's show, get outside no matter how cold or snowy. Up first, young anglers square off against Mother Nature. But this fishing adventure seems to be missing just one thing.
It's like there's only 2 fish in the whole lake.
We head to the Minnesota Zoo to meet a grizzly bear with the story. And a legitimate winter fishing opportunity that might not be on your radar.
Minnesota Bound. Brought to you by Minnesota Select GMC dealers.
Hey everybody, Laura and I welcome you to this very chilly episode.
Up first, a story about a father and son fishing trip.
Yeah, Minnesota kids headed to North Dakota in search of a very fishy dream.
Only to find a cold and hard reality.
At 31 below zero, what kid looks forward to a 6 a.m. wake up?
It's time to go fishing.
These little guys, even though their short night of sleep shows at the breakfast table. Fathers and sons wait anxiously on a cold North Dakota sunrise, such as winter life on Devil's Lake.
Life is good. We're right in the heat of ice fishing seasons, and fish are cooperating most of the time, so life is good.
This is a story about kids, buddies who fish together all summer long back home in Minnesota, but have never ice fished together. They know how to catch fish.
A million maybe.
Yep, even 9-year-olds know how to tell fish tales.
Then I caught a huge bass about like this big in the summertime, but then it snapped my line like halfway.
Winter anglers flood Devil's Lake during winter months.
Why? What the?
They come to catch walleyes.
Ooh, can I show people?
And a bucket full of these fish.
Perch!
Boom.
Look at that big one, Benny.
The kids hope to catch a pile.
Tired?
Thing is, this sudden, bitterly cold snap seems to slow the bite to an absolute halt.
Have you seen any fish? 0. It's like there's only 2 fish in the whole lake.
Even so, Connor Loop keeps on task.
Other than his couple breaks, he's pretty focused.
I'm just wondering what I'm gonna catch, or if I'm gonna catch anything.
Can't find anything better to do than go fishing with my son and a bunch of his friends and parents. Pretty cool.
I wanna see lines all over the screen. I wanna see it like someone's hacking it.
If you can't catch fish, might as well build a fort.
I wish fishing wasn't so hard today.
No worries. Tomorrow, the bite will surely get better. Surely.
It's crazy. I don't know what's friendly about this.
The kids trade sub-zero temperatures for wind. Lots of it. Today, North Dakota wind plays a cruel trick.
It's off!
They're always at the opposite end of where you are, too.
Guys!
Turns out gusts over 30 miles an hour flipped the flags.
But none have caught a fish.
Exactly 0 fish on tip-ups. Even so,
You're it!
these kids make memories. And that's why we take these trips.
Man, if that wind would calm down, it would be perfect out here.
Sometimes memories look like this.
I wish we'd catch more fish, but he'll never forget this experience.
And I think the kids build a bond that they wouldn't build other places.
Coming up next, the story of Russia's Grizzly Bear Coast, right here in Minnesota.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Minnesota Select GMC dealers, Star Bank, Rapala Ice Force, and by Factory Motor Parts.
Up next, we meet 3 orphaned Alaskan grizzly bears who traveled a long way just to be reunited with a familiar face.
During a Minnesota winter, it can be tempting to hibernate. But if these guys are awake in the winter, what's our excuse? Meet the stars of the Minnesota Zoo's Grizzly Coast exhibit. Over 10 million people have visited the bears at the Minnesota Zoo. We met them indoors, behind the scenes. And during breakfast time,
As you can see in here, they have a plethora of all sorts of things that they like. It's all human grade, so we don't get any kind of leftovers from grocery stores. We buy everything from the same vendor that you would. We're really into safety around here, so the line on the floor is basically when we do have guests in here, everybody has to stay behind the yellow line, and you'll get a little bit spoiled because you're with me, so we'll let you cross the yellow line. Sadie is right here. This is Sadie. And this is Haynes. And this is Kenai.
the 3 grizzlies combined tip the scales at over 2,500 pounds.
If you drop it, or he drops it, just leave it, and one of us will pick it up.
There you go, buddy.
Said that they get their favorite treat, which is an Oreo cookie. And it's
Here
not
it
very
is.
often, but every
No.
once in a while.
No, so
why
pretty
is
much.
that their favorite treat? And I notice it's lemon and not
Well,
chocolate.
today it's any kind that was in the freezer. We kind of like, since we don't use them a lot.
Eating habits aside, not many know these bears share a story. A story that begins with Diana and the bears in Alaska and ends in Minnesota.
The Minnesota Zoo had requested 3 bears from the Alaska Fish and Game Department, and for this new exhibit that the zoo was building, which is Russia's Grizzly Coast.
Diana was working in Girdwood Portage, Alaska at the Wildlife Center when 3 orphan bear cubs were found in quick succession.
At the Wildlife Center, I was working with the animals, and these bear cubs needed to be sort of hand-raised because they were orphans, and so I was given that task because there was nobody else to do it. And so that's how our story begins. And throughout the summer, they stayed at the Wildlife Center, and this was 2006. Sadie was found near Sadie Creek, Kenai was found on the Kenai Peninsula, and Haynes was found in Haines, Alaska. And there's Sadie. She was poster child from day one. She was always the charmer. They think they're related, but they're not. They came from 3 different parts of Alaska, 3 different times.
The bear cubs were already scheduled for the Minnesota Zoo when Diana heard about a job opening. Where else? The Minnesota Zoo's new Grizzly Bear Coast exhibit.
So I applied and I got the job. And so I got here in May of 2007. And then the bears followed in April of 2008.
The bears were flown to Minnesota, welcomed into the zoo, and reunited with Diana.
So I think there was some kind of familiarity with me and my voice, and now I think it's all over and done with. They know who I am, and here we are. Here we are.
So now Minnesota has its own story of the three bears. The three bears and their mama bear.
Straight ahead, prepare to hook up. Winter fishing looks a little different in our local trout streams.
I'll take it.
And later, a Minnesota-bound classic on snowmobiles.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Maple Grove Lock and Safe, your premier Liberty safe dealer.
Up next, it's time for a little bit of widely forgotten winter fun. It's time to do some cold weather fishing, but not on the ice, instead in moving water.
Old Man Winter. You ain't gonna beat him, so you might as well join.
What do you got?
What day is it? Wednesday?
You won't find Dave Anderson and Andy Roth hiding indoors. They'd rather be out in this.
I do like these though.
Gearing up to beat winter at its own game.
Like an 18 PT would probably be fine.
Double check your knots. Pretty cold. You're gonna have to excuse my nose drippings today.
Getting out here just gives you a chance to let it all go a little bit.
See, 32 Minnesota trout streams open to catch and release fishing come New Year's Day.
They'll probably be hanging from that foam all the way up to that corner.
That means anglers can get off the ice and fish open water.
We've got the handy little fish counter.
How high does it go?
Oh, 99.
That's not high enough for us.
This is my winter place, and these are my winter buddies. Or should I call them homies?
Play as. It's play as. Pure play as.
Both Andy and Dave guide fly fishing professionally.
What a home child.
But today, we're off the clock. Just buddies out to have some fun.
See that one? Oh, there he goes. How's that one feel?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I think that it's definitely an untapped resource. There's a lot of water to fish. New regulations could be coming down the road here pretty quick in 2014 where all the designated trout streams will be open. And for my opinion of that is, I'm all for it.
It's a beautiful day, 15 fish and 23 minutes. We're almost averaging a fish a minute here.
Kind of funny because Andy isn't ever the guy who keeps score. I mean, ever. But we just can't help it.
Can't even keep up with the counter. 17.
That's a better fish.
Wow. We're in the 20s. We've got snow. We've got overcast skies. You know, the fish are cooperating. I don't know how you could find a better spot to be.
There it is.
See?
There it is.
To find where you can fish, well, the Minnesota DNR provides complete access maps and winter regs online. Otherwise, you can order a free map book from the state. Either way, you'll end up on water like this.
I'll take it.
And the odds are there won't be a crowd.
Yeah.
I would say if we drove around to streams that are open, we might find a car or two.
Exactly what draws us to open water.
Anyone need coffee, or are you too cool?
There's no better place to be right now than in the woods and on the water.
Ice fishing is one of the best times to introduce kids to fishing. I'm not in a boat right now getting blown around by the wind. I don't have a lot of distractions, so I'm able to spend all of my time right now on this guy, making sure that he has a good time. I feel it's important that when we introduce kids to fishing, that we make it about them. Today is not about me. It's all about him and giving him a good time. Get ready, get ready. Set the hook, reel him in. You got him, buddy.
He's the mouth.
Oh my goodness, he's a huge one. You got the daddy fish, bud.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. He's a big one. I'm proud of you. Should we put him in the bucket? Okay. 2 high fives. Good job, buddy. You're a really good fisherman. When we make our kids a priority early on in life, they will likely want to come back again and again. And odds are good. Hey, do you want to go fishing with me again? Yeah. Yeah. Odds are good I'll have a fishing partner for life.
This is the place, boys.
Still ahead, today's Minnesota Bound Classic takes Ron Shera to one of his favorite places, the remote winter woods.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Connecticut, Mountain Dew, Minnesota Rebound, and by Totem Resorts, the premier destination for world-class fishing.
Today's Minnesota Bound Classic takes a look back at one of your dad's favorite adventures off the beaten trail.
My dad loves to write these kinds of stories, stories about adventure.
If you've ever wanted to get away from it all, here's how to get there. Hop on board an iron sled dog and head north into Ontario's wild and frozen snowscape. Follow a trail that winds over lakes with no names and crosses portages known only to fur trappers from an earlier time. Moose tracks cross a frozen lake and wander away to wherever moose go. Then it's onward down a trail maintained by a couple of Canadian outfitters. Gene and George Halley are brothers who lead winter adventures to one of their hand-built log cabins in the wild.
As we stand here, and you know the nearest people to this spot right now is probably 70 miles from us. It's, you know, we're back in the wilderness. So.
But as the first day ends, we're content to settle into the wilderness cabin, stoke up a wood stove, do a little cooking, and play a few hands of cribbage. Tomorrow is another day to see if the walleye fishing will be as good as a night of stillness in Canada.
This is the place, boys.
The hunt for walleyes was on, wind chill or no wind chill, but the walleyes turned out to be rather elusive. Hole after hole only invited more theories.
I think the next plan is we have to have a walleye come through one of these holes.
Gene was so sure the fishing would be easy, his choice of tackle raised a few eyebrows.
You invested a lot of money in that pole, I see.
Yeah. It's medium action.
Medium action?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll confess, we got skunked. We fished in mittens, if you know what I mean. But when you go this far and see the remote north when it truly is a winter wonderland, well, just say we caught a limit of solitude.
Man, looks like my dad got skunked yet again.
Still a great adventure to the woods. Well, we are about out of time. We hope you will join us back here next week.
In the meantime, don't forget to introduce a kid to the great outdoors. I never get skunked.
Transportation provided by Premier Transportation. Call 1-800-899-7433. To get more Minnesota Bound, including full episodes, go to mnbound.com. And to follow our latest adventures, like us on Facebook.